As black water rushes in, light flushes out. The frozen night devours all we are. I have no idea what's coming, but we all feel it sinking in. The madness that has led this life so far. I have no idea what's coming, but we all feel it sinking in. The madness that has led this life so far. Water rushes in, light flushes out. The frozen night devours all we are. I have no idea what's coming, but we all feel it sinking in. The madness that has led this life so
The boat is breaking up! The boat is breaking up!
If any of us mattered, there wouldn't be so many lives dictated by so few. If any God had ever loved us, he would stop this and protect us. He'd never leave all our lives down to you. As black water rushes in, light flushes out. The darkened night devours all we are. I have no idea what's coming, but we can feel it sinking in. The madness that has led this life so far.
Good evening, space lasers, and welcome to Sci Fi Hi Fi. We are here once again on our space station, up amongst the stars, away from the maddening antics of Earth. I have my new and permanent co host, Ria Marin. Amazing. And today we have our most fabulous guest, the most awesome person in the universe, Quang.
Hello.
Hello. For the people who don't know you, who obviously live under a rock and have not been paying attention to anything, tell the people who you are and what it is you do.
Hey, my name is Quang, also known as Quang DX. Primarily, I am a independent video game developer. That's what I mainly do. I make video games. Recently, just made a Game Boy game, something for an old system. I make games for computers and consoles and all sorts of things. I'm also known for collecting retro consoles. I have a very large collection, many leather-bound books. I'm very important. Yeah, just I got a lot of retro consoles. If you know anything about the retro community, I'm probably been part of that. If you've gone to an event, played on retro consoles, they're probably from my collection. So I like to share it with the community. Yeah. I don't know what else I do. I used to run a nightclub.
Yeah.
I used to stream too.
Yeah.
I used to, yeah. I just run a heavy metal nightclub. I currently stream 3 days a week. Not today because I'm on this channel today.
Yeah, we
So
stole you.
yeah, that's fine. That's completely fine. I prefer to be here, to be honest. This is way more fun. Yeah, I did streaming. I do 3 days a week. I code on Wednesday. We play video games on Tuesday, and we watch movies on Thursday. That's what we do in the streams. It's good fun.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, your video. I mean, I'm not a gamer and or a coder, so I do join in your film streams, and they are a lot of fun. And sometimes I miss the film. I quite often miss the film, and then I'll be walking back from the studio while the talk is going on, and just listening to Colin like recamp an entire film scene by scene. You know, it is an amazing feat of. So I don't know how he does it. I just don't know what, even what the term is.
It's really good. It's Hype Bear's secret power, being able to tell stories and recall stories really well. We have him. You've had Colin on the show, haven't you?
Yeah. So he is actually one of the many people that help with the Death and Glory storylines, because I always go to him first, and then he helps me build something that can then go to get scripted, and then I can. So he gives me the bare bones of an idea, and then we flesh it out. So we're gonna have him on again on the 9th of June, I think, for another Death and Gloria 3. Electric Bumblebee.
Electric Bumblebee.
Yeah.
So Peter has asked a question right off the bat in the chat, and is it possible there are still machines
How
creating?
is it possible?
How is it possible?
Yeah, because Quang mentioned he made a new Game Boy game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
yes.
who's making the cartridges?
Yeah. Who's making the cartridges?
People in China, factories in China. So we make Game Boy cartridges, blank ones. I put my game on the cartridges,
And you flash
and
them
we
yourself.
put a label on and we put the label on the cartridge. Yeah. So yeah, I manually put them together. Then we get a box, print from the printers, and get a manual. We put it on the box and we send it off to the buyer. Yeah, they're still being made.
Nice.
It's cool.
I mean, vinyl's still being made, so I mean, there's a market for everything essentially, and the older we get, the more we reminisce.
Yeah, but
and what more retro stuff.
We don't reminisce on vinyl, though, do we?
Personally, no, but
No.
I mean, there's a huge community out there that does.
Yeah, there is.
You hear audio tape is back. People are now buying audio tape.
Tapes.
Yeah,
Wicked.
people. Yeah, a
Cassette
lot of
tapes.
bands are talking about tapes. That's just wrong.
Wow.
That's just wrong.
I mean, why? So you can
It's
re-record
that
over them.
lo-fi hiss.
So if you want to look up Quang, I've put his link in the chat. Just go over and buy his cartridges. Buy his cartridges. We're going to go for a question from the chat first, and then we're going to go and talk about your game in a wee second. Abby's asking, what's your favorite old school console stroke machine?
Including arcade machines, I
Um,
presume.
I would guess
My
so.
favorite console itself would be the Game Boy. It's always been my favorite from day one. Because it's a portable machine, you get to take it with you everywhere, and it's very personal to you. I was lucky enough; it was released in America and Japan a year before we got it in the UK. My dad traveled to America, and he brought one back for my birthday that year, and that was 1989, and it was just wonderful. And I've pretty much always had a Game Boy with me wherever I've gone, just traveling. It's a great machine, and because I was programming games for it as well, it means I fall in love with the hardware even more. And yeah, I can't say enough about the Game Boy. I love it to pieces.
Yeah, there you go. Do you have a favorite?
Probably the 64, Nintendo 64. I think that was my first experience to consoles and video games, except for arcade games. But yeah, 64. Getting I think I was probably like 10 or so, going over to my one friend's house who actually was rich enough to afford one. We'd all go around and play Nintendo 64. It's rad.
Yeah, that's an interesting question about whether games are now for. I mean, I'm not a player, but when I was a kid, you had to be rich to be able to get a game, or
yeah,
a parent and
they
have
were expensive.
parents
Yeah.
that were like really into it. Do you, Quine? Do you think that's still the same now, or games evening out a bit?
It's weird because the games are definitely more mainstream now, and you're as likely to have a games console as you are to have a DVD player, as it were. It's a form of entertainment for the whole family now. So in that respect, you can justify. Because whereas before it felt like a luxury, but now it's just like everyone's got a game console of some kind or a gaming PC, I guess.
Yeah, when I was growing up, we had a Vectrex. And that was the first thing I played on. Was a Vectrex.
Wonderful.
And then an Atari, I reckon. Yeah, so we're gonna go into another thing on the chat. Abby's saying tapes suck, and no one's disagreeing with that. And I think you can get mini disc again too.
Mini disc was terrible though.
recently bought 2 albums on tape and an album mini disc recently in the last year.
Are people producing these retro media just for nostalgia effect, or is there some tangible, technical benefit to it?
Oh, for sure, it's for nostalgia, and because you also get the digital download as well. You get the MP3s, but also for the nostalgia, you get the physical object. And for collectors, like myself, I guess there is something about having tangible media in your hands. It's a pain because you have to store it somewhere, but the nostalgia of it, like these Game Boy cases, there's something really nostalgic of just opening them up and putting the cartridges in, and you can't get that with digital, but then you have to store it somewhere. That's the problem.
I guess when people collect those dolls, like they're just they're like big-headed doll things.
The Funko Pops.
Funko Pops.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Like, what is the point? There's no point to them.
Well, there's not really any point to any kind of collecting, is there? Though it's something that you do for your own personal amusement and gain.
Yeah, I guess so.
It harks back to things like I guess the Beanie Baby boom we had a while back when everyone was trying to collect the Beanie Babies because they thought they would be valuable, and the only people who were buying Beanie Babies were other Beanie Baby collectors. And at some point, the bubble burst, and people were like, actually, no one's buying these but us. So why are we doing this?
Well, that's economics 101, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. So we have the history of gaming, of which goes back. What's the first one? Is the Vectrex the first household console? No, there would have been some
No,
the Vectrex was before a Commodore.
Was it? I wasn't
so
alive.
the official first console is the Magnavox Odyssey. It's a console made in America. It basically plays Pong and a few variations of Pong and a few other things. Instead of having cartridges, it had these jumper boards that look like cartridges, and you plug them in, and it selected the game it wanted to play.
RAM chip kind of things that you stick into the top of it.
It wasn't even RAM chips. They literally were just jumpers. They were like these little electronic cards, and some of the wires would be wired together. And by putting in the different cards, you get a different variation of the game. Then you had overlays that you had to stick to those TV screen.
Yeah, the Vectrex had that for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The background to the game kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And the games were very simple. They had lots of physical components. So like they would have cards, question cards, or counters, or a board, or fake money.
So like VHS board game type things.
Kind of, yeah. I guess atmosphere and things like that. But it was a digital game with 2 little dots running around the screen.
Magnavox Odyssey came out in 1972.
72, indeed, yeah.
Wow.
Sounds about right.
Cray.
So over the years, what do you think have been the biggest developments in gameplay from the tech point of view? Like
technical point of view, I guess. So we were talking about Odyssey being these jumper cards. So the game, there wasn't actually a programmable ROM in the cartridges. The first console to have programmable ROMs would be the Fairchild Channel F, which again we didn't have. I don't think we ever got of it. No, we got a variation of it made by Grandstand. But the Fairchild Channel F was a big deal because it had these programmable ROMs on the cartridge itself. So each game was self-contained. Plug it in, you get to play them, and that was how games were made. Pretty much going on from there. Talking about the Vectrex is a wonderful machine because it has a built-in screen, and obviously back then most households didn't have a TV, or if they did have a TV, they would generally have one TV, and having a console and plugging it into your TV means you're taking the TV away from the family. And if your parents wanted to watch the news or something and you wanted to play video games, you weren't going to win that one. But if you had a Vectrex, you had your own screen. So that was a big deal back then. Not only because of the screen is a Vectrex notable, it also uses vectors. Most computers we know now all use a raster effect. Basically, CRTs draw the screen by drawing a line very, very quickly left to right. And then plotting the dots of the picture. But with vectors on a Vectrex, draw actual lines on the screen from point A to point B, so you don't get the raster effect, as it's known as. So that's a very different sort of technical thing. Do you remember much about your Vectrex?
I remember playing it. So It must have been. I don't. Yeah. So it had I think we had two. Maybe we only had one controller, and it sat underneath the screen, so it clicked in at the bottom. And I'm pretty sure there was some space thing, and there was a thing. There was a game where it was like a jaggy star man, and he had to save his girlfriend, and we go, oh Molly.
Yeah.
Oh Molly, and you had to go and save them.
If I remember correctly, that's Spike. Spike's it's one of the early games that actually had sampled speech as well. So the Vectric was quite ahead of its time. I'm gonna top of my head, 1982.
Correct.
Might have to double check that.
10 points.
Correct.
Well, it was
And
North
then-
America in 1982, Europe and Japan in 83.
Yeah, so it's made by GCE, General Consumer Electronics in America. We got the release over here by Milton Bradley, and Japan had it released by Bandai.
It was discontinued a year later after its release. So
Yeah, unfortunately, it was quite it was quite expensive. They're quite rare now. Not super rare, but they're one of the rarer consoles you can get hold of. People very much look to buy those. Especially, there's now quite a big homebrew scene for it. So lots of people are making modern games for the Vectrex. Like I was making a game for Game Boy.
Yeah.
There's lots of new Vectrex games, which is great.
That's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. So if cassette is back, does that mean the Commodore 64 cassette game is going to be back then as well?
So we've moved on a little bit from game cassettes because as wonderful and nostalgic as game cassettes are, they're very unreliable and they take a long time to load, and nobody ain't got time for that. So nowadays you have flash carts, so cartridges that will plug into the thing, of speed loaders and things like that, so that it comes off either SD cards or built-in memory. So it's a lot quicker, a lot more reliable, and it's a lot more convenient because again, people don't have time to wait 5 to 10 minutes for a game to load.
Yeah, ain't nobody got time for that. Nah, man. I remember playing like the Muppets. There was a Muppet game for the Commodore 64, and also Treasure Island or Monkey Island or whatever that was called.
Mystery of Monkey Island.
Yeah, maybe.
Is that a thing?
A Spy versus Spy and Outrun were all the games that we used to play when we were kids.
It's Commodore 64. It would be Treasure Island, I believe. Monkey Island didn't come out till later on the PCs.
1990.
Yeah. So there's a question in the chat from Peter. What's the most unusual console in your collection?
Oh, there's so many to choose from. I guess the one that normally springs to mind is the Dreamcast TV. So good old CRT giant 14-inch TV with built-in Dreamcast in it. It looks like a space-age space helmet with flashy VU lights around the side. It's bright blue, has a little antenna on it. Only in Japan. There were, I believe, only 2,000 of these made, and really hard to get hold of. Yeah, I think the last one sold on auction for over $4,000 pounds.
That'll do. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Damn, those are valuable. Yeah, yes they are. Yes, they are. Which one's your favorite out of everything? Oh yeah, the Game Boy's your favorite. I know.
Game Boy, I have a lot of nostalgia for. With regards to collecting wise, it's again it flip flops. But I think one of my favorites is probably the PC Engine. It's a cute little Japanese console that wasn't released over here, unfortunately. The magazines over here did an article on it when it compared it next to a packet of Skips for size comparison, and that's quite an image that's seared in my brain because it came out just before the Mega Drive, after Nintendo, and those were quite big boxes. And then you had this tiny little Japanese console. You know what? Do I have one at hand? Oh, maybe. 1 second.
As you do, folks. As you do. We'll go on to our sponsor, seeing how we're there. We are actually sponsored by another podcast. And I will write the sponsor and here while we're waiting. No sponsor. C Squared is a podcast created by a PR company called The War PR. C Squared is a little conglomerate of little talented music lovers who are all doing PR and management and all that kind of shenanigans. So if you are in need of that kind of service, go to C Squared. Oh yeah. Anyway, back with the Quang. Back with the Quang.
Alright, so this is a PC engine. Can we see that?
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that too bright on the camera? Which is tiny. And you think at the time the consoles at the time were the NES, Sega Master System, and then the Sega Mega Drive. And this was a Japanese only console. It's a beautiful machine, and again, it literally fits in my hand.
Yeah, what
I love
year
it
is
to
this
pieces.
that this came out?
Oh, I'm gonna guess at 1988,
Is this
87.
also referred to as a TurboGrafx 16?
So in America, it's known as the TurboGrafx, which is a much bigger console. Same with the Japanese Nintendo, Famicom, and the American and the Western NES.
Yeah,
They
nice.
changed the form factor of it. This is the
87.
Japanese version. 87. Yeah, sounds about right.
Cool. That is cute. It is cute.
That's probably my favorite in terms of collecting, because again, the size of the machine and just a wonderful library of games. With regards to the games it's got some of the best arcade conversions you can get around that time. Some great shooters. Also, the first machine with a CD drive, and also the first machine that got upgraded to a 16-bit graphics processor.
So, how do you feel in terms of retro games about, I guess, ROMs, essentially, using modern equipment to play retro games, either, modern PC or like a Raspberry Pi or something like that?
I think they have their place. It's to get hold of these old equipment now, it's very difficult, and from a preservation standpoint, it's really important to have them available for people to play, because games are meant to be played, and you're not going to be able to buy every single game. So most of my machines I have, I also collect flash media for this. So this is a Sega, which is for the Sega Saturn, and this lets me play games on my Sega Saturn from a SD card, so I can have the whole library on there.
Yeah.
I do have a collection of my own physical media, but again, the games are getting very, very expensive, and there'll be games that you can't afford, that you're never going to be able to play it if you try to buy everything. So having ROMs is a good way to carry that on, and yeah, exactly. If you want to experience them, and unless they're being sold in some form, like a modern collection, you're not going to experience them otherwise.
What's the most interesting thing you've seen a ROM put in? Because I know we have a ROM, we have a console builder in the chat. I know that, Peter. What's the most interesting thing you've put a ROM in, or that someone has put a ROM in? Do you think?
So I ages ago put a PC inside a Super Nintendo case. We did an article on Engadget, and a few other tech websites picked us up. I can't year that was 90. No, it would have been 2000, sort of mid 2000-ish. Back when it was quite difficult to do it, before Raspberry Pis existed. But now you can put a Raspberry Pi in everything now. My brother at the moment he's just bought the Lego NES TV Lego kit, and he's planning to put a Raspberry Pi in that and a screen in that. And yeah, you can put it in pretty much everything now. I want to put one in a lunchbox. I have a old Snoopy lunchbox. I want to make it so you can open up the lunchbox, have the screen in there, and have a Raspberry Pi in there. There's tons of stuff you can do with it.
Yeah, it's just like what's in the case. You should just get one of the what's that film? Pulp Fiction case.
Oh yeah, where you open the case and just a light comes out at you.
So what's your favorite game? What game over time has been your favorite?
What stood the test of time?
Yeah, what stood the test of time, game wise?
So I will give you 3 games on this, because it's hard to decide which of the 3 comes out top. But usually they go Tetris on the Game Boy. Tetris, I spent the most time playing. I spent the most hours just invested in playing Tetris against my friends, my own. I even took it to school, and in maths class, I convinced my teacher to do coursework on Tetris. So I convinced him, look, I'll work out all the geometry of it and stuff, and I get to play Tetris in class. It's great. Followed by Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo on the arcades. It's the last Street Fighter 2 game that was made, and for me, it's the because they refined the gameplay as you went along, and that was the last one for me that was the pinnacle fighting games for me, and I spent a lot of time playing that, a lot of money at arcades again. So again, I think it's nostalgia and how much time you've invested in it. And third, I would say Castlevania on the PC Engine. It's a game called Rondo of the Blood. Castlevania is my favorite series of games, and Rondo of the Blood is the last Castlevania game before it became a Metroidvania, which is Symphony of the Night on the PlayStation. It's when it becomes a more exploring sort of game, and Rondo of the Blood is like again the pinnacle of the straightforward old Castlevania style, which I love to pieces.
There's a new Castlevania, isn't there? Or have they just done a bad remake?
The franchise itself is pretty much buried
Oh, is it?
by Konami.
Oh.
But the creator of Castlevania kickstarted a game called Bloodstained, which is a spiritual successor.
Hideo Kojima is one of the designers of Castlevania.
Kojima, I don't know how much involvement he actually had in it.
He's on the list of credits. I guess you're working in the same studio. You have some involvement with. Other
I think he worked on maybe some of those earlier ones, but he was never the main guy on it. Iga Higurashi is touted as the main guy on the Metroidvania games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the name of the guy who did the original first three.
We got Ayami Kojima, Michiru Yamane, Takeshi Obata, Yuzo Koshiro, and Jose Luis Velo. the one Western name.
That's it. Peter's asking, what do you think of the Netflix Castlevania series?
Oh my god, they've done a great job of translating that to an anime. They're taking the storyline from the third Castlevania game on NES, and they've done a great job with that. It's got a good energy to it. They haven't dumbed it down. They haven't kiddified it. So yeah, I think they've done a great job. Check it out if you haven't.
Yeah, I did start watching it, but I got caught up in some Star Trek. That's what happens. Yeah, sorry. I had to.
Took a side quest there.
I took a side quest into Star Trek, and I haven't come out of it yet.
It's quite a big side quest.
Yeah, I thought I just needed a bit of cheering up, and I'm like, that's it for life now. I started. Yeah, I say this every week, but I started a new generation. I should have started in the first season.
TOS.
Yeah. So I was asking you about games because you've got a game out. Do you want to tell folks about the game?
Indeed.
And perhaps like how, because it's an interesting story that you have developed your own game, because I don't think we've not had anyone on the stream who has developed a game, and I wouldn't know where to start even to develop a game. So
yeah,
tell us about that.
So you saw it earlier. This is my Game Boy game, Super Jetpack DX. Originally, when I was learning to program for the Game Boy, it was back in 1999, so a good few years ago. And the first thing I programmed was a version of this game. I guess it's a remake of an old Spectrum game called Jetpack, made by Ultimate Play the Game, who are now known as Rare. And
Jetpack.
it's the first computer game I saw on ZX Spectrum, and I fell in love with it instantly. So I remade it for the Game Boy, and then it's a long story. I made video games. I didn't make video games, and then I'm making video games again. And when I came back to it, I found the source code for this last year, and I've kind of remembered that how much I enjoyed making Game Boy games and how much I enjoyed trying to make things work for the Game Boy. And after finding the source code, I thought, you know what, I would quite like to see this on a cartridge. So I went back to it, I updated it, and then I renamed it as Super Jetpack DX rather than just Jetpack DX. And we put it together in 3 more months, and then we released it. We've sold 2 runs of it so far, and just over 600 copies of the game have been sold. We're doing all right. We've got 40 left over from the second run, and they're going up for sale real soon.
Do you find it's more challenging designing a game for a more simplistic console like the Game Boy, or is it more freeing by its limitations and its lack of, ability?
I'm a big fan of limitations.
Yeah.
I find limitations breed creativity,
Mm.
and it just helps you focus that energy. Whereas if you have no limits whatsoever, you just get lost in doing whatever, and you don't really have a focus to it. But having this is why I love making stuff for the Game Boy so much. The limited graphics, the limited ROM space, and limited CPU speed means you really have to focus and make sure it's a good game with what you have.
So do you think that the limitations of Game Boy games and what creators have done in the past is what's led to them lasting so well and being such a collectible item, rather than being there's so many open worlds and melee games on PC that they just kind of get lost because they're all much of a muchness.
So I completely understand that. Yeah, definitely. It's you had to be clever with it. Gameplay had to come first. I come from a background of gaming where gameplay is first and foremost. Spectrum was my first computer. It didn't have good graphics, didn't have good sound. So it had to be enjoyable. You had to be able to play it and get something from the game. Don't get me wrong, there are plenty of terrible Spectrum games. There's some terrible Game Boy games too, but there's enough cream there that it's worth investing in and worth enjoying.
What makes good gameplay then?
Something that's easy to pick up and understand instantly. Yep. Something that has a good gameplay loop in terms of making you want to go back and play more. Something that engages you. Something that challenges you. I'm a firm believer in what I call WoW per second. Lots of modern games now I have gameplay times of 40, 50, 60 hours gameplay, but to be honest, you're just doing fetch quests going from point A to point B and back again, and there's not much WoW going on there. So, but a WoW per second, it means throughout your journey playing the game, you're either being wowed by the gameplay itself, something graphical, a story element, some audio elements. Something is wowing you, something is carrying you through it. Like, I'd much rather watch a 1.5 hour movie, which I really enjoy all the way through, rather than a 3-hour epic movie where I kind of bored throughout the whole thing.
Thanks, Nolan.
We've got some questions in the chat. Peter's asking, does it have the official Nintendo seal of quality?
All right, so down here, I'm gonna.
We faked it.
Yeah.
There is a seal of quality, but can I get the focus right?
Yeah, but we're not going to see it. No.
Right, there we go.
Oh yeah.
There we go. So instead of saying Nintendo in the middle, it says homebrew. It's our original homebrew seal of quality.
Wicked.
So yeah, we went with that. Obviously, Nintendo are quite protective of their branding and stuff, but the Game Boy is a very old machine. It's 1989, so what, 32 years coming up now? Yeah, 32 years, and they don't care about it as much anymore. So yeah, we skirt. It's a very grey area. We skirt the area. We skirt around that.
Yeah. So Abby's asking, her next question was, how do you get around the copyright?
Any danger of being sued?
Any danger of being sued?
So
we not be talking about that live on the stream?
Theoretically, yeah. So I made Jetpack DX, which is someone else's property, intellectual property, shall we say. Company Rare that used to be Ultimate Player Game own the rights still to Jetpack. I think if I tried to release it on PC or Nintendo Switch, there would be a problem. But because I've released it on a dead system, they see it as a hobbyist project. So in the same way, you can find fan art of all these characters that are copyrighted all over the internet. People draw pictures of Spider-Man, and Spider-Man is a copyrighted character. So do Marvel, Disney want to go chasing every single person who's drawn a picture of Spider-Man? Probably not. In the same way, making games for the Game Boy is kind of a dead system. I would never release this on a modern system in that respect.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Good idea. Yeah. So I would like to ask you a question about what do we think we're going to go to next for or no, before we go on to future, is there maybe anything that the games companies have just missed out on? You know, like, was there something in the past that maybe came up and should have been taken on, or like, so the music industry was very hard or very slow in taking MP3, for example, so therefore the geeks just went for it and released it anyway and said, "Stuff you, record companies." And it's a known story that there was some guy was brought the MP3 technology in a record label, and he was like, "Nah, I'll never take off," and away he goes. So, is there anything you think that the gaming companies should have done over the years?
Personally, I think physical, movable controllers. I mean, the Wii was good with it, and previously there was those shooters where you shoot at the screen with like an
Duck
IR
hunting.
pistol, yeah, that kind of
duck
thing.
hunt or whatever it's
I mean,
called.
I reckon that'd be really cool if you have the space in your living room, to have, a tool that you could use in the game in your hands.
You want a sonic screwdriver, essentially.
Yeah, or I mean, if we're going the way of VR and stuff, I want something in my hands that's not like dinky little paddles.
Quang, do you have anything on that?
It's I don't know. So the gaming industry is quite young still. We go back to the Manifest Odyssey, 1972. It's not that old in terms of how many years we've gone through. Cinema and music are years old now. It's a much more mature, mature industries. Whereas gaming is still finding its feet. I think. I think they didn't quite see the popularity of the mobile device. I guess that's something they missed. Obviously, mobile gaming now is huge. It brings in tons of money, ridiculous amount of money. Whether they do it ethically is another question, and that's I can get into later if you want. But the fact we didn't really foresee ourselves all having this computer device in our hands with us all the times, having something capable of playing games. The phone you have in your pocket is magnitudes more powerful than the computer that sent the rocket to the moon. It's an incredible device. Whether it's been used as an entertainment device, obviously we watch movies on it, we listen to music on it. It's our GPS. It does pretty much everything these days. It's a camera. But as a gaming device, I think it still needs looking at and it needs developing. So I think the larger gaming companies weren't quite ready. Nintendo only recently released mobile games with Mario Run, Pokemon Go, and a few other things. But they were quite slow on the uptake because they were still worried about their own consoles. But not everyone has a Nintendo Switch, but everyone has a mobile phone. So it's something that they need. I think they were slow on pick up for that.
Just interestingly, the video game industry was more profitable last year than films and sporting. Video games
Indeed.
turned over more revenue than cinema and sporting events
Well,
combined.
there was no events last year.
I know,
That's
it's a bit of a swing statistic. In terms of people picking up making video games, do you think that the future should be more studio focused, where like a lot of money is poured into specific avenues, or should it be more open source and lots of independent creators and developers making not necessarily good stuff, but flood the market with a lot of cheap stuff and then pick the cream from the crop?
I think games is now coming to a point where it's similar to music and movies. Yes, you have the big studios making the big blockbusters. You have the big record labels making the big manufacturing bands and groups and stuff, and really nurturing those. But you also have the independents. You have independent movies. You have independent musicians. There's space for everyone, to be honest. I don't. It's video games are an art form, and means you can't rule anything out. Everything is valid. There are now video games where it's literally you're just pushing a square around the screen. There are video games that are basically movies. We have walking simulators now where there's no combat in them.
Euro Truck Simulator. Yeah.
Euro Truck Simulator, which is wonderful.
Have you heard of Goat Simulator?
I have indeed. Goat Simulator is wonderful as well.
Awesome.
What is Goat Simulator?
You're a goat.
On a mountain?
You just rock around and cause chaos in like a town or wherever.
Yep.
Nice.
It's wicked. You stand in and intersection and like cars like try to move around you and quick trash. It's awesome.
So for a walking simulator, what do you just walk? I suppose if
So
you don't have legs, you might. I mean, if you're disabled, you might want. To,
the term walking simulator comes.
if you can't go outside, surely that's why you'd have a walking simulator, right?
The term walking simulator comes from the fact that there's generally no combative elements in it. You're just walking from point A to point B.
So it's not.
But you generally will unravel storyline elements. So it's almost like an interactive story in that case.
Like Death Stranding.
Mist.
Death
It's bloody
Stranding.
Mist, isn't it? Is it Mist? I hate that bloody game. That was like probably the last game I tried to play. I have to say, somebody had a Dreamcast in a previous house I used to live in, and they had Luigi, which was terrible. It was okay, but it wasn't that good. And then they had, I mean, was it a Dreamcast? It might have been a Jaguar or something. Anyway, there was Mist. The Mist was in that house, and I was like, "What is the point of this game? Nothing happens. I'm just like wandering around on my own." I mean, the scenery's nice.
Yeah, but if you like
feel
have a really stressful job and like your IRL is crazy, you want to go home and chill.
You don't want to play Mist though, because you just expect stuff to jump out at you at any time. Like something has to happen.
But that's
at
the
some
point of these games where like nothing happens and it's your kind of first person film. You're just unraveling a story kind of thing.
Is that a walking?
There is a place for it.
Is that a walking simulator then? Is that?
Myst isn't much walking. It's more of a puzzle, interactive puzzle game. But things I don't know. Everyone's gone to the Rapture. It's quite a famous walking simulator where you you turn up at this town. Everyone's disappeared, and then you walk around and try to solve this puzzle where everyone's disappeared to, and you go through the memories and stuff, and you go through things that triggers memories of ghosts and things, and it's again it's just another way to entertain people, another way to tell a story, and there's a space for all types of medium, all types of stories in video games for sure.
Do you think video games are a good medium for telling stories?
Oh, definitely, yeah, for sure. I agree completely. Like someone who's actually gameplay focused, anything I make is generally not very story based, but I appreciate it as a medium for immersion to get you into storytelling. It's done so well in so many games where you either have a narrator or there's no narrator, and you're literally uncovering elements as you go along. So you just need to be clever with the way you dispense information. If you look at Black Mirror recently did the episode where it was a choose your own adventure game, and that takes all the elements from a video game and merges that with a TV episode. I know there were some people who said it wasn't enough game, or there was some people that said it wasn't enough TV, but they were trying something different, and I think they managed to merge them together quite well.
You have a favorite computer game that's very story based, isn't it?
I mean, the most recent game I played that really stuck with me was Nier Automata. Just the gameplay of it, and also the story of it, I think, meshed together very well, and it's, an epic story as well. And also 2B is a sexy android.
Well, whatever. The scenery in that was very good. And I don't know, obviously I didn't play it, but I've seen it come up as a study in gaming music, background music.
Oh yeah, they wrote the score for that for the set and setting, and what they did with the map as well. It's actually quite a small kind of map, but it makes the story and the way it takes you through it makes it feel huge. And even when you just simply going from point A to point B, even though you've walked that route 5 times already, doing a different quest, like it still feels new and interesting and different. So you can reuse, the same kind of code to, further the story.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's what they do in all games though, isn't it?
Yeah, some do it better than others. I mean, like, you see it in, generally older kind of console games where they reuse textures and like, oh, this is the same map but just with a different skin on it. Oh, the walls are red now rather than blue, but it's the exact same layout.
Yeah, there's a is it Bruce Lee game or something, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's not Bruce Lee, but it's got like a little dragon kung fu guy. Don't know how else to pronounce it. And he goes through all these little worlds, but each world is just kind of the same world.
It's just kind of same thing. Well, Mario is. I mean, it uses the same building blocks, but it does it in interesting ways. So, I mean, there's good ways to do it and there's bad ways to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Quang, if you're coding on a Wednesday, does that mean there's another game coming?
There are many more games coming. I have many other ideas. We've got 2 puzzle game ideas for the Game Boy are currently in progress. We have a horror RPG, action RPG coming up as well. It's in the works. We have Mama Castle on PC and console. That's still in progress. We just recently found some old source code for a puzzle game on the Atari ST, which is an old computer system. So we're looking at revisiting that. And there are other things as well. There's always something to be made.
Were you working on a Bomberman type thing the other week when we raided you?
Yeah, so one of the puzzle games that we have in works is a game called Diffused, where you're basically plopped into a danger room where every time you make a move, another bomb is dropped into the screen, and you either have to try and defuse the bomb or avoid the explosion, depending how long it takes you to get to the bomb. There will also be cannonballs, lasers, and a bunch of other stuff. You know, it's a logic puzzle game because in the same way, I don't know if you've ever heard of a game called Super Hot. Things don't move until you move. So you can take your time with it, logic your way out of it, and decide where you want to be at any point in the game.
It's a bit like those statues in Doctor Who that move when you don't look at them. To put that in, terrifying. Anyway, you mentioned the ethics of mobile gaming. I would like to get into that. What's your take on that bad boy?
The ethics of mobile gaming.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
mobile
whether
gaming.
it's right or wrong?
Well, let him tell us.
A lot of companies are using quite predatory practices to extract money from game players on mobile devices because they know you're connected to the device constantly and it's very easy to spend money on the device. They try to get money from you as quickly as possible from things like things such as loot boxes are a big thing, which is very closely linked to gambling and gambling practices.
It's illegal in Belgium, loot boxes in video games, because it's considered gambling.
It's gambling.
I've been stung
Exactly
by loot
that.
boxes before. It's like, oh, only 30p. Yeah, why not? It's nothing. Oh, I didn't get what I wanted. All right, I'll get another one. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, obviously there's fun in the randomness. There's obviously the experiments people did with the pigeons where they tapped on the button to get food and they tap buttons. But they found if they did it randomly, they were more likely to do it rather than a regular schedule. And it's a whole branch of psychology looking at gambling and things like that. It's crazy. I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of nickel and diming people. You know, even modern console games now where you pay 40, 50 pounds for a game and then you have loot boxes within that game where you have to pay for those loot boxes. That's ridiculous. You've already paid for the game once, but you're also paying for more chances to get more content in the game.
Yeah, well, it becomes a pay-to-win kind of game. It's fucking bullshit. You know, rather than being, you know, you play the game, experience, you level up, get the good items, rather than just, oh, I've got a fucking credit card, I'll just buy all the good weapons and win.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's not even pay to win because it's pay to maybe win because they give you, by paying you get a chance to maybe get the thing you want.
Yeah.
I would understand if you could pay and get the thing you wanted because you know what you're getting, you're paying for it, and that's fine.
Well, there's all those dodgy black markets and stuff, you know, that are outside of the game where you can, you know, buy weapons and skins and stuff and get the stuff
Exactly
that you want. Creates a whole second economy.
It's still again a grey area, but at least you know what you're getting for your money. It's when you throw money at something and you're not necessarily going to get what you're paying for, and that's a frustrating idea, and it uses that to fuel this gambling mentality to just extract money from people. And the other big problem is obviously video games, mobile phones. Many kids now have mobile phones, and it's very easy for them to spend a ton of money on these things without actually even thinking about, without actually understanding how much money they're spending.
Yeah, so I mean that's going to be the reason why the gaming industry has made more money than everybody else, right? Because you're paying a output to buy the game, and that can be quite expensive, or it could be really cheap. It could be free on a mobile game, for example, and then you hit the top of the Quizzy Cupcakes game level, and then you have to pay some money to get to the next level. I don't know how Quizzy Cupcakes works.
It's not a real game.
I know, that's why I'm saying it.
Maybe I'm making it.
They're making it.
Maybe I am.
I mean, you should. Somebody should make it. Obviously, there's
It's
standing
Bejeweled,
market
isn't
there.
it?
Yeah, it's going to be
one of
something
those
like
things.
that. Candy Crush, isn't
Candy
it?
Crush, yeah, that's the one.
I don't know what I was going to say now.
I
was getting to.
derailed you.
You derailed me. Oh yeah. So, can we say that that's? I mean, is that the reason the gaming industry is able to outclass all the other industries because they have just this hand over fist notion? In the games.
Partly, I'm sure that it's attributed to a large part of its income, but it's also because it's way more mainstream now. As we were saying before, most homes now will have a gaming console or computer as part of their entertainment for the home, rather than just a DVD player. Whereas before it was just a luxury item, but now that everyone is gaming of some kind, it's just more people who are doing it, so there's more money going into the industry.
With the rise of streaming platforms for film and TV like Netflix, Amazon, and for music, Spotify and Deezer, do you think there'd be a streaming gaming kind of thing where you pay a subscription and you get, a few of the latest titles plus some old ones playable for free?
Is that not what Stream is?
Steam.
Steam.
You get a lot of free titles on Steam. They're generally pretty shite though.
But we've already moved into something like this. So on Xbox Live now, you pay for that, and you get a free number of games every month to play on that account system. Same with PlayStation.
Do you get with those free games? You don't own them though? Like it's a limited time.
Yeah, it's a limited time. But in the same way, Netflix is, if Netflix pull a show from Netflix, you can't watch it anymore. Yeah. So you got that. You've also got things like Antstream, which is a retro gaming streaming service where you pay a monthly fee and you can get to pay from a library of retro games, and some of the money goes to the license holders that way. So there are ways of doing it, and I guess things like Google's streaming service, which, why is my brain on blank?
Google Play? No. I don't know what the streaming
No.
service is called. Plus, no, that's gone.
Do you mean Apple streaming service?
Yeah, Apple's another one.
Or YouTube.
We've also
Everyone's got their own.
Google's not just YouTube, Red or
Google Stadia. Stadia.
I thought that flopped.
It did.
Okay.
They didn't do very well. But the model was for you to pay a monthly fee and then get games that way. But then they also asked you to pay extra money for specific titles on top of the monthly fee you were paying. So it didn't do as well as they had hoped. But you got that Apple Arcade as well, you mentioned, on mobile. Again, you pay a monthly fee and you get access to a certain number of games every month to play on your mobile.
Do you think that's the way forwards, rather than paying 50, 60 quid for a AAA game title?
I don't know if it's the way forward. It's just another way to consume your media, I guess. People will always go with what's easiest.
Yeah.
And if paying a company a monthly fee means they can access and play all the games that they want, they will probably go with that. So
Provided
I don't know if it's the future of it.
The streaming service has the games that they want. So maybe for the casual gamer who doesn't really know what they want to play and just wants to play a game, I could see that happening.
For sure.
Yeah, do you think that could also be a reason for the retro game industry kicking off? Because people are just like, fuck this. I just want to play a game. I want to play a game tonight. I don't want to have to sit down and think about it for 5 hours and plan out. And I don't want to get online and have to deal with cheating Russians.
Fucking Russians, man. Jesus Christ.
Abuse
What's the-
from kids. Yeah, I think there is a big part of the retro renaissance is based around
Retro
nostalgia,
Renaissance. Awesome.
and the nostalgia of it, and the ease and simplicity of it all. Just being able to pick up a cartridge and fit in. I can see Freelop was saying unless they physically own something, there's no value in it. This is a very frustrating thing. As someone who's a creator, I'm sure you have this as well as a musician. Trying to sell your entertainment digitally is very difficult. It's a very hard sell because people think because it's no physical, tangible object, they don't want to pay for it.
Yeah, I'm not going to give money to something that I can't hold.
Yeah,
that's true.
like they'll happily go and pay £5 for a coffee and drink that every single day. But if you ask them to buy a single from you digitally for £1, they're like, I don't really want to pay £1 for music, which they'll probably listen to way more times than however long a coffee lasts. Say we're making a game on a mobile phone, charging £1 for a game on a mobile phone is almost unheard of. People want them to be free, and then be nickel dimed
Yeah,
apps.
exactly. You need the microtransactions for the developer to make any money then.
Yeah, so as someone who makes video games, I'm quite frustrated by the fact that people don't want to pay for digital products.
I mean, because it.
Where
Sorry, go ahead.
So it takes time, effort, for people to make these things, and just because you're not physically on them, but people will pay to go to the cinema and pay £5-10 for a ticket and have an hour or two of enjoyment there. But if you make a game and they enjoy it for 10 hours, but they don't want to spend £1 on that, it's quite frustrating.
Yeah, I haven't been to a cinema that was £5 in like 20 years.
Yeah.
That's why I don't go to the cinema, because it's more like £15 to sit and watch a film. Anyway, but yeah, as a creator, and I think all creators are in the same boat. We've got a couple of creators in the chat. Abby is artist, and so is Rick actually. And Ella has joined us. Hello, Ella. Sorry, I didn't see you come in there. On one hand, it would be a lot better if everyone just got into their heads to buy digital, because then that would cut down the cost of, I mean, well, we can talk about the production costs of your game. Jesus, that must be massive. And then plus, the problems of delivery and all of that, which I know you felt you had those problems as well.
I mean, there is a price difference between buying a physical game or downloading something from Steam. I mean, it is significantly cheaper when you download the game.
For music, like, it's not. So, like, people are probably selling their albums for like £7, and downloads are like the same, or £5 maybe.
And Nintendo do the same. Nintendo Switch downloads are the same price as the physical. Sometimes it's cheaper to buy the physical than it is to buy the download.
So, yeah, mad. So Rick's saying by the time he gets around to playing a new game, it's 5 to 10 years old and £5 anyway. So he's pretty fun. Pretty fun times.
Yeah, always get them on the Steam summer sale. Yeah. To hell with paying full price.
But that's another thing. Is like people are waiting for the sales to buy these games, which is still money in developers' pocket, but they're not getting the full price for what they've created, and it won't be instantly. So maybe you've only got enough money left in your company to make one more game, and if it doesn't sell a certain amount in the first couple of months, you're not going to be able to continue. So many companies are just going out of business because everyone's just waiting for that Steam sale, and it's a frustrating mentality for people to have, because as a creator, you want to be making more stuff, and you would hope people want to support you. But now creators are now turning to other avenues to make money, so things like Patreon and streaming and things like that, and it's a different way to consume your media and support the people who are making things that you like.
It's an interesting point about Patreon, actually. I mean, because this has become more and more popular. So do you think that this type of funding, where it's out of the hands of distributors and publishers, and it's you're taking payment directly from the customer, is this works out better in the long run? Do you think, or do you still need to go through the traditional avenues of getting a distributor and a whatever for your video game?
So definitely with the advent of digital distribution, it's become easier for people to get the stuff out there without having a big publisher of some kind. And Patreon is a wonderful way of supporting that person. There's obviously Kickstarters as well and other crowdfunding websites. And this allows you to talk directly to your audience. But one, you have to find that audience first, and you have to connect with them and then convince them that what you're going to make is something they want. But it gives people opportunities now. Like a friend of mine, she is a backpack designer, and she designed a backwards backpack so the zips are on the inside so they're secure. And she's now just I think kickstarted her 5th backpack design, and she's done really well with that. And it's allowed her to talk directly to her buyers and modify the backpack so they're it's best suited for them. They take the advice on board and change things around that way. And it's just a great way for small creators to create things and be supported by the people who will be purchasing their product.
Yeah, direct to customer, basically.
Yeah,
just a direct line.
Cut out the middleman.
Yeah. Rick is saying he doesn't mind paying full price for an indie game, but sod paying full price for AAA games. What does AAA mean?
From the big studios that they spend
AAA
billions on.
is from a big producer.
Yeah,
so from Nintendo,
so why
EA.
is it AAA? Is that like
it's not single A, it's like AAA. It's a rating.
Is that a rating system? Is there a rating system involved? Is it a solid 5 out of 7? Is that what it is? I don't know. I'm just like asking a question. I don't know what it means. Abby's saying, surely the industry has changed a lot. Like, I assume that there weren't many indie game makers 20 years ago, and now there must be thousands and thousands.
Again, the barrier to entry to creating games is a lot easier. There's some more tools now to make games. But if you think about the micro home explosion, microcomputer home explosion back in the 80s, the Spectrums and Commodores, they were all bedroom coders. They were kids in their bedrooms making video games, and they would sell them to game companies for anything from like £100 to maybe a couple of £1,000. But the word bedroom coder is synonymous with the computing in the 80s in the UK. But yes, now we have tools like Unity and Unreal and Game Maker Studio, which is what I use to make games. It's now easier to do that, and so there are many more people doing it, and you almost get a point where it's getting saturated and it's harder to find the good stuff. And the same with musicians. There are so many bedroom musicians out there trying to make music, trying to get noticed. There's so many writers, and there was a period of time where everyone wanted to be the next novelist and sell the next bestseller, and and there can only be a certain number of good products out there, and just because you're doing it doesn't mean you're going to be good at it.
Say I've got 50 quid in my pocket and I want to spend it on a video game. How would I go about finding an ethical way to spend it, and also make sure my money isn't wasted on a shit game? If that's even possible.
I guess it comes down to word of mouth, I guess. It's read websites, read the news, do your research, talk to people in your community that are doing the same things you're doing, get recommendations. Word of mouth is a very powerful thing. If someone else is recommending your thing, it's a much better, easier sell if people are recommending your product.
I guess it's the same for any creative output. How do you know you're going to buy an album off a band and it's not going to be complete crap? Because you can't really give it back if it's a small band.
Typically, you go to a gig and there'd be 3 or 4 bands, right? And it's like, oh, this one's particularly good. I've heard 2 songs of theirs or 3 songs of theirs. I'll buy their album because I've got a little taste of it.
How did you know which gig to go to?
Well, you just go to your local pub, I guess.
So,
or,
You don't have that for game developers.
Well,
Especially if you go to a conference, I suppose.
Yeah, you go to Comic-Con or like some kind of something like that.
Sorry, Quang, go
Yeah,
ahead.
we have gaming events like EGX, Eurogamer, EGX Rezzed. There was Insomnia happening. Obviously, events aren't happening at the moment, but there are gaming events out there, and game developers will be there trying to show the newest games and trying to capture your attention to that. But then you have all the news websites you look at, there's social media, and we do what we can to get noticed. It's the same for musicians, I imagine.
Yeah, it's exactly the same for musicians and artists. I mean, it must be even harder to be like art, like classical art or anything like that. Like you really have to try and pick and choose your location, or like, because these things all cost money as well. I don't think like people don't understand that. Like if you want to get on a conference or if you want to do a con or whatever, thankfully bands get if you play a con you get a free table, or I just make tables beside the stage, and that's, you know, I have a space. But you know, those tables at conferences at cons are expensive. They're expensive to have, and like people making jewelry or whatever it is that they're making, and they bring it to a con and they're trying to sell it, and people don't want to spend 80 quid on a pillow. Unless you're us, and we've got to.
we were a little bit drunk at that time.
That's
Unless
another
you're
thing.
me.
Like even if the table is free for you, I know for a lot of indie developers, some of the smaller events will invite indie developers for free. You still have to pay to get there. You have to pay for food, accommodation, and also the time away from working. So you're not necessarily, even though the table was free, you're spending a ton of money to be at that event. And I think with Mau Mau Castle, I did about 65 events over 3 years.
Whoa.
Took it everywhere I could, and I spent a ton of money on it. Luckily, I had a day job at the time to fund that, but I feel like if I didn't have that day job, there's no way I could have done all those events.
Yeah, I almost forgot that you did Meow Meow Castle. How did that? I mean, what's happened with that? That was a great game. Is a great
Mau Mau
game. I'm
Castle
gonna say is.
So Mau Mau Castle is our PC game about a flying cat dragon who chases rainbows on his way back to his castle while rescuing their friends. We've been working on it for the past 5 years, coming to 5 years now. It was meant to be released before the pandemic started, and I was working really hard to get it released. I kind of missed the deadline for when I wanted to release it, and then the pandemic happened, and with all that happening, it kind of burned me out, and I was really kind of sick and tired of the project. This is when the Game Boy stuff came along, and I found the Game Boy source code, and to reignite my love in game development and programming, I decided to make this Game Boy game. Mau Mau Castle is back on track now, so we're going back to it, and hopefully in the next 3 to 4 months, it should be released on PC and maybe consoles if we can get that sorted out.
Yeah, amazing. Amazing. Just going to go into the chat for a wee bit. Abby is saying, too many people need an apocalypse. Once again, everyone agrees with you.
This one didn't do the job.
Yeah, this one did not do the job. No.
And snap the fingers.
Yeah. Rick is saying he loves that Unreal Engine is free. Now, there's something that we could discuss. So, for folks who don't know, what is Unreal Engine, Quang?
So Unreal Engine is one of the game engines out there that allows you to make your own video games, either through programming in, I believe, Unreal is C#, or they have what is called blueprints. So it's literally drag and dropping elements together to make video games. So it's free for indies, depending until you reach a certain threshold, and then you have to pay them. But most indies will never reach that threshold, to be honest. But if you want to make video games, Unreal's a great way to do it. Also, same with Unity and things like Game Maker Studio. There are many game engines out there to make video games with.
Yeah, I get the feeling though that like music people are using the same technology to make music videos and things like that. I mean, it's an environment creator, right? So
yeah, you can do that too, definitely. If you have a PS5, you can get Dreams, which is a wonderful creation tool. People make games out, but many people are making music videos in Dreams on their PS5, which is great.
It's cool.
Cool.
Yeah, it's worth looking into because whatever is cheap or free will be done here. I can guarantee you that. Let's see, go some more comments in the chat. Peter saying, "I've bought games due to YouTube Let's Plays before."
So Let's Play is when you watch someone play the game.
It's like Twitch, but on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it's just people gaming?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But how did you know which videos to watch?
Yeah. How do you know? How do you know? You watch someone play it on Twitch. Yeah.
In it.
I thought Twitch in it. Knit. Twitch knit. Rick says... Sorry, go ahead.
So but again, there are so many Twitch channels out there. There are literally thousands of Twitch channels. Which ones do you watch?
What do you watch? Rick says, I normally watch a few game reviewers that I like. Zero Punctuation and Jim Sterling.
Yeah.
Yep.
They cover the bigger YouTubers that cover video games.
Tim Way Play has joined us. Hello, Tim! He is the owner of more Death and Gloria t-shirts than I think any other individual on the planet. Well done, sir. And he says, "Woo, Mau Mau news, Mau Mau news." Abby is sad that the apocalypse has failed. Peter's saying it's usually a French Canadian called Rao Cow that I found by accident. Rao? Well, how do you say that? Rao Cow?
It's French.
And Tim's saying, yeah, he loves all the tops that he has. Amazing War, Death and Glory t-shirts. So we did today. We were going to say what the future of gaming is, and I think I have a far better understanding of the history of video games now and where we have gone in this development. So where is the future? Do we think between us all? Quang, do you have any ideas?
It's tough to say. Like, VR has been a thing they've been trying to do since the 90s, and only recently has it become a viable medium. But even now, I don't think it's still not quite there yet. People don't have the space for it, or the cost is too prohibitive, or the experiences aren't very good. But if you're talking about far in the future, you can take the next extension from VR, and you talk about maybe beaming the game into your brain, so you're either through an implant of some kind, or it's being immersed in that medium and being able to play something, being in control of something, and how that's done. It'll come down to where the technology is going, I guess.
So it's a bit like the Strange Days headset, where they beam the emotions of the thing that you're watching right into your brain. Maybe
mini disc.
It would be on cassette only. On cassette.
So is the future about being more immersive rather than being better gameplay?
Immersive, surely.
Because if technology is moving in this direction, is it just about being as immersive as possible, perhaps at the detriment of gameplay and story?
No, I don't think it's a detriment. I think it complements that in terms of being able to, like, for me, gaming is an escapism. You get to be the warrior running around with a big shotgun, or you get to solve crimes. In the same way you watch TV and movies for that escapism as well.
But isn't that why VR hasn't caught on so much? Because they went all in on the immersiveness aspect of it, and I don't know if anybody made any good storied or playable games for it.
Oh, you need to check out Half-Life Alexa. That's fucking Alexa. Half-Life Alex. It is wonderful. There are some wonderful stories in
Half-Life 3, to be honest.
VR.
But...
yeah. Oh, I'm sure everyone wants that.
Alexa, stop.
You had to say it. You had to call her. What is?
I think it's the immersion is still not quite there yet in terms of how much it transports you to that world. Having just a joypad or a keyboard and mouse to play a game works well at the moment with what we have. But VR, give it a few more years. I think it's going to be a point where it comes to a price point where everyone, it's like 4K TVs, and HD TVs. There was a point where you had to spend nearly £1,000 on TV. You can now pick up a 4K TV for like £300.
Yeah,
and it's going to get to a point where everyone in their home will have a 4K TV because that's within the price point of someone buying a new TV. And hopefully at some point there'll be a point where everyone can afford a VR headset, a VR system, and the experiences and the games will come along with that.
when graphics cards are available again.
We stop mining Bitcoin, yeah.
Bitcoin miners, god damn it.
So Argon, is it Argon? R3 Argon. Quang says that's a plot of Batman Forever. I don't know what that was in relation to because I might have been out a wee. What is
beaming something into your head?
beaming something into your head? Yeah,
I don't know.
maybe. And Peter wants the Ghost in the Shell Cyber Brain.
Yeah, I think that that'd be rad.
Yeah. So I think with the I think where story and interaction, or the what did you say the word was, immersiveness is probably gonna go in the way of horror games, right? Because that seems like an easy. People who are into horror want the shit fucking
Just
scared,
jump
be
scare
scared
kind of things.
shitless all the time. So stick them in a game where they have a VR headset and they don't have any weapons and they just get eaten all the time. I don't understand why anyone would want to do that to themselves.
Well, that's what I was saying before. You know, if I've got a VR headset on, I want a physical something in my hand, like a gun or something. Like, you know, if I'm turning around to see something, you know, a zombie rushing at me, I want something physically in my hand I can react with.
But do you have guns? Can you get? I mean, I saw it on House of Cards. They were doing like a military version where it was supposed to be PS. What is it? Post traumatic stress disorder.
PTSD.
Yeah. So soldiers could relive going
That
back into
seems
war for
super
some
healthy.
reason,
Yeah.
but you know, nothing bad happens to them, I guess, this time. I don't understand. Rachel's with us. Hello, Rachel. There are still issues with VR setup, tech, expense, and physical space needed, and other user issues such as dizziness and nausea, which, for sure.
Oh, actually, I saw something recently where they made, it was in a very dedicated room, but like you were sat in like a gaming chair with a full harness on, and there were cables connected to motors in the corners of the room, and you had a VR headset on, and you looked, and the chair physically like yanked you across the room, kind of thing. So it doesn't help with the dizziness aspect, but you know, you're strapped into something.
It's a sex swing, essentially.
It's not. It was. I mean, it's very high tech. If it was,
It's a high-tech sex swing.
But that's another aspect of the virtual gaming, isn't it? Because we don't talk about because it's not a mainstream thing of what the porn industry does with it. I mean, that must be a massive seller, right? If porn is a huge industry.
There's a lot of porn games out there, but they're normally, you know, RPG type, choose your own adventure story things. Try to seduce the sexy schoolgirl, or you know, bang the nurse. I don't know what they're about.
I am glad. Dug yourself out of a hole there. So Rick is saying, weren't they saying VR was the next big thing in the 90s? We went to
we're like 4 consoles past that. So.
Yeah, but my parents took me to an Ideal Home exhibition when I was in early high school, I think, and we went on a VR machine, and it was like the Lawnmower Man kind of affair, this big round thing and this big yellow thing that you put in your head, and it was just like a Tron holodeck kind of looking thing that you were just wandering around picking up squares or whatever it was you did. It's mad.
Yeah, this is a saying before. VR has been trying to make VR happen since the 90s, and only until now we're getting to a point where it's become wireless, for one, and it's getting better. Things like nausea and dizziness usually due to a low frame rate, but as technology improves, they'll make that better as well. Space-wise, obviously you need these sensors to read the VR kit, but now they're building VR headsets with the sensors built into the headset, so you don't need as much space as you had before. I know you're talking about holding a gun. You have these controllers you hold, but you can also hold hand like rifle plastic guns, I guess that there would be to represent the game. So represent the guns in the game. There are many things that are making it better as we go along, and it's only a matter of time when the technology catches up to the idea of what we want for VR. And I said, hopefully we get to the point where it's literally beaming it into your brain, and then there won't be any nausea there.
Rick is saying there's a Dara O'Brien sketch on porn and VR, which is very funny. So you can all go and look at that up. And Tim is saying the games available for VR now are just way better, as well as the tech improving. Yeah. I think what about beaming people into the computer rather than beaming the computer into you?
Well, that's what every video game kind of is, isn't it? You are playing as the character.
Yeah, but instead of having like
how would you beam one into a computer?
I don't know, but they did it on that, what is it called? A Sword Art Online. When is that going to happen?
Yeah, but that wasn't beaming them into the computer. They were playing on a VR headset, but they were just unable to take it off.
Yeah, but
so they're not being beamed into the computer. They're playing as an avatar, as a character.
Yeah, but their brains are beaming into a thing together.
Yeah, but isn't that kind of like what we do when we play games online?
Yeah, but it's not as cool. Where's my wings? That's what I want to know.
There's the episode of Black.
Sorry, go ahead.
There's an episode of Black Mirror where the old people are beamed into the old people's home. What was it called? What was it called? I can't remember. But it's an episode of Black Mirror where they're beamed into it, and in terms of the brains are just plugged into it. Obviously, our physical bodies aren't going anywhere, but our consciousness can be in the video game. In the same way you have, I guess, Ready Player One. It's just an extension of your consciousness being in a virtual space. And whether you count that as you being in the game or the game coming to you, I guess depends on your point of perspective.
Yeah, I guess it's the same thing, backwards. Rachel is saying there's a great game developer I met that works on sex and empathy in games. He made one really interesting game that are about developing relationships with sex as the aim. Can't remember the name of the game now. Well, you've just dangled a wee carrot there in front of a load of people.
There's quite a lot of Japanese sex games where you actually have to court the girl and
dating sims.
Yeah, dating sims, exactly. Yeah. Where you actually have to, treat her nicely and do the right things to be a good boyfriend before you actually get the reward.
Basically, a Tamagotchi.
Yeah.
Which Abby still remembers.
You have a hatful boyfriend, which is you have to date birds, penguins, and pigeons, and doves, and things like that. KFC released a dating sim where you have to date the colonel.
What? But they've released a couple of things. Like they've just released a couple of games, haven't they, over the years? And music
McDonald's
videos.
released a couple of games as well, like back in the
it was Burger
old
King
games.
or something,
No,
wasn't it?
Macca's did one.
And
we had to get the hamburger because he was stealing all the hamburgers.
yeah. Oh, we watched what do you call it?
But those JonTron did a series on.
Go watch JonTron. If you haven't never watched JonTron, go do it. Oh my god, it's so funny.
Leisure Suit Larry, Rico.
Rachel, your comment just came up on the moderation because you used the word gay. Naughty.
Naughty words on the internet.
Yeah, I'll look it up. So I think she's talking about her game making friend. He's gay, so a lot of his games are LGBTQ. One is set in a prison shower.
Oh my god. Sounds real empathetic.
Yeah. There's a game by NatWest Bike.
So there's a bit of a history of this where, big companies use video games as marketing, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. It's about saving money and being financially sensible. It's like the game of that board game, The Game of Life.
You just can't win.
Yeah. Organ says Global Gladiators and Ronald McDonald's Treasure Land with McDonald's game.
Nice.
They were on the Mega Drive and NES.
So I often think like when we are old, of which we are mostly on our way, well on our way to that now. When we get old, are like nursing homes just going to be filled with VR machines? You know,
Yeah,
is
just
that
playing
really
video games.
just going to be the
Yeah.
way forward? Like if you've got Walk Simulator, you know, no.
Sure, why not? Like, I remember watching. Is that clip in Strange Days where he sees his friend in the booth and he's got no legs, so he brings him a clip of him running down the beach
Oh yeah.
and being able to experience stuff again where you're physically not able is quite powerful. So people in nursing homes who can't maybe go out, for them to have a VR experience of them going sailing or going running, I think that would be a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But I think people will just bring that with them, won't they? Because we'll have it. Like, we'll have it. We're probably going to be the generation where half of us have it and half of us don't. You know what I mean? So there'll be like
Transition.
one old person in the nursing home and they'll have all the games and everyone will be like around at theirs all the time. Drinking juice boxes and whatever it is old people do. I don't know what old people do. I don't know. Yeah, that's what I often think about. Does nobody else think about that? I think so. I think that.
No, not
It was either that
particularly.
or drugs, so you know, I think it's alright.
Yeah, hopefully by then drugs will be really good.
No, they'll be legal and therefore crap. So gaming will be your only option. I think.
Well, I can see the point about someone who can't walk, you know, playing a video game where they can walk, because, you know, we like to play games doing things that are fanciful or fantastical, stuff that we can't do. Shoot aliens or, you know, World of Warcraft or, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. But there'll be an awful lot of catfishing, I think, by the time we all get into that. Because we will, of course, you'll go on the internet and you'll pretend to be a 16-year-old, won't you? Everyone will. Everyone will. Come on. Maybe not 16. Maybe a 25-year-old.
Yeah, but, you know, there'll
will we get to a point where that doesn't matter anymore, and we enjoy people for who they are rather than how old they physically are.
Yeah. Because if you're going to do a lot of gaming and having large amount of players on one game and stuff, then it doesn't, like, people are already doing that. They're dressing themselves up as pretty women or trolls if they're little tiny people, or little tiny people if they're massive lanky people that have to duck to go through doors. So people are pretending to be what they want to be anyway already, so that's kind of
I always play as the female characters. You know, if I'm going to play a video game and I have to look at someone's back for 20 hours, I'd rather it be a nice back.
Does anyone else? I mean, I always played the female characters because I thought that was what I'm supposed to do, I guess. Street Fighter, I don't know what I'd do in Street Fighter, actually. Bit of both. I don't know. Bit of both. Bit of both worlds. It's fine. What else is saying? Argon is saying Global Gladiators, which is a McDonald's game, was okay, and the Master System, but the other game was shite.
And 4-player GoldenEye in the nursing home sounds awesome.
No, right?
I'm in.
but I was going to get to that. But Rachel's saying that the prison sex game is surprisingly empathetic.
Yeah, the one set in the shower.
Showers, yeah, nice one. Plug them into the old Atrix Age Tricks. Oh yeah. So when I was it wasn't GoldenEye. It was like Splinter Cell or something. When I was at college, Splinter Cell was out and it was raging. So it was. And the people I lived in a house with, there was like 7 of us in a 4-bedroom house. They played Splinter Cell all day long. Just got stoned and played that. And our bathroom was through our kitchen, which was through the living room. And then one night they came down and they couldn't be dealing with coming in and sitting, you know, having to make any conversation with anyone who was in the living room. So they came down, rolled an aerosol across the floor, turned the lights off, and ran into the toilet. It's like somebody needs to like get off the computer. Or not. Maybe that was a great idea. I don't know. What else we've got? Rachel's saying it could be really good for those who want to travel but can't afford to see the world from your lounge. Well, you can drive a truck across all of Europe. Just
As a bus simulator as well, which is quite popular.
yeah, we're gonna put a bus simulator into a London bus very soon. There's a venue that's opening in Deptford called the Deptford Bus, which I work for a company that's doing it, and we're in discussions with them about putting the London bus simulator into the driver's cab of the bus, so that people can come and play that. I'm suggesting that it should be on Twitch 24/7.
Yeah, just live stream the whole thing.
Yeah, and just have anyone come and do it. So yeah, that we're in discussions for that. Peter is going to help us out, I hope. That's it. What else we got? VR chat. VR chat lets you be whoever you want. VR chat's massive, right? But it's very under commented on. I feel.
I watch a lot of videos about it.
Yeah.
You know, just all the shenanigans.
Yeah. Have
I
you ever been in there?
No.
Quang, have you been in VR chat?
I have not. I don't have a VR unit. It's one of the things, again, cost prohibitive. It's not something I've felt like I needed to invest my money into.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I always play female characters. Tim Way is saying, I always play female characters because they're usually much more interesting. Well, that's for exactly the same reason as Riamu picks them, I'd imagine, because they got good butts. Peter also plays as the female character. Is there anyone who's playing as a guy? I guess women are playing as men, right? Is that what we're saying? I feel like that's what we're saying. Ricardo, I play a female character in beat 'em ups as they're normally faster.
Yeah, actually, I agree with that one as well. In Street Fighter and Tekken, the chicks are way faster. Not as strong, but you can dodge quicker and yeah.
Peter's saying you don't need VR to go into VR chat, and it's free.
Oh yeah, there is a desktop version, isn't there?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe we should get involved.
Yeah.
Get into some shenanigans.
Some shenanigans.
I
only want to go in if I can be a cat. Quite
Yeah,
frankly.
you can be whoever you want.
Yeah, okay, go. Sorry, Quang, what did you say?
I think, yeah, go in and pretend to be a 25-year-old, as you were saying before.
I am a 25-year-old. Look at this youthful face. So we go to some 8-ball questions for the last half hour. Will we do that? Some mystery questions from our 8-ball device.
Go for it.
8-ball Las Vegas.
Are there 8 questions?
No, there's more than that.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of there's a lot of questions. I think it's just a lot of questions.
Where'd you come up with the questions?
I find them on the internet.
Yeah. Well, all good things are found.
Yeah, basically, I just asked Google. Hello, Google. Oh God, didn't want to set off my Google. Rachel's saying, I was thinking more things like walking around the Colosseum and other historical sites, seeing imagery of how it's changed over time. See people dressed as they would at the time.
There's a lot of AR stuff that does that, where
Yeah.
you go to the site and you you hold up your phone and there's little markers on the site and it projects. Or it doesn't project, obviously. Like it shows you what the actual structure was like and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, we have that here at Crystal Palace. There's 2 big graffiti women on the walls, and if you scan the QR code, they talk to you. Whether they come alive or not, I don't know, or you just hear the voice of the people who are spray painted on the wall.
I was thinking more like AR stuff. Like you have your phone up and you log into the historical society or whatever, and you look up at the remnants of the castle, and looking through your phone, it shows you the complete
rest of the castle.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think guided walks around. Well, I guess the pandemic's going to have created that, really, won't it? It will have created museums who couldn't be open for a year are going to have done guided walks, VR walks around their spaces, right? I mean, that seems like it's going to happen. Charmu has joined us. Hello, Charmu. He's been watching. Sorry, I don't know. Even if you're human, so I will apologize if that was wrong. Been watching you on TV with Tim. I felt I needed to comment that I play as male characters, especially like big, hulking, slow characters. Always the heaviest hitters. This is.
I'm
There
sure,
go. There's
I'm
one.
sure there's some psychological explanation for all of our preferences in video game characters.
Yeah, it's true. If you are new to the channel and you haven't followed, please do so. We also have a sub goal of 1 subscription, because
You could make the difference.
we can make all the difference in the show. And once we hit that 1 sub goal, whether it's Prime or whatever, we do a giveaway. And the giveaway is music by my band, Death and Gloria, and also Alpha Bodus, who is our previous co-host, who can't make it the show anymore due to scheduling. So if you want to win some music that's free and digital download, I know you don't think that's going to be worth anything because it's free and it's not a CD or a physical
But
thing.
you could burn it onto a CD and then show your friends, hey guys, look, I got this rad CD I won on Twitch.
That's true. Oh, mine also comes with a comic, which is also digital.
Which you could print out.
Which you could print out. It's in PDF.
Or if you got mini disc, I mean.
Or if you got a cassette, you could
Yeah,
just
yeah.
redraw the comic onto the page. I mean, I would do it. Hey, we've got a
Hey,
winner!
winner! You chat shit for long enough, someone's about to hit the button.
Well done, sir. Well done, Tim. What a champ. What a champ. I'm going to go and start off the comp then. Yeah, you'll have to chat amongst yourselves while I go and start off the competition. Hopefully that the CPU won't crack itself in half by just opening a browser.
Right, Quang, last good video game you played.
Last good video game I played.
And then let's compare that
I
with the last video game you played.
So as a game developer, I don't actually play that many games. It's just time constraints.
It's like musicians who don't listen to music.
Yeah, I'm one of
Yeah,
them.
too busy making games is the game.
the
But the last commercial game I played, I guess, is Super Mario Kart 8 on the Switch.
Sweet.
I do that regularly, and it's a wonderful game. It's still one of Nintendo's best sellers, I believe.
Really?
It constantly is one of the highest sellers constantly. Its price doesn't drop, so if you want to buy Super Mario Kart on the Switch, it's not going to get any cheaper.
I used to play Super Mario Kart, getting drunk with my mates. That was just awesome. You know, you get back from the pub or the club or rave or whatever. You know, it's like 3, 4 in the morning. Yeah, let's play some Super Mario Kart. Yeah,
Yeah,
Best
it's a great party game
absolutely.
for sure.
Yeah, I've seen my friend has done a Super Mario, a live Super Mario Kart where they all just dress up and throw bananas at each other. Because turtle shells are kind of hard to come by. So
Yeah, and kind of illegal as well.
yeah. Tim has entered the raffle. Amazing. You don't need to be a follower. Sorry, you don't. What do you need? You need to be a follower to enter the raffle, and subscribers get double tickets. Yeah, you do. To win some free garbage that you probably didn't want in the first place, but it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice. I think you get 2 albums and a comic book sent to you after the show. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I've just put in for the 8-ball question, which is the random questions that we like to just finish off the show with, see if it brings up something fun or whatever. And your question is, what was your worst nightmare?
What was my worst nightmare? That would be the one where everyone turned into vampires and I had to fight everyone. And the last vampire I had to fight was my own mother, who was a vampire. That was a bit distressing.
Yeah.
There's something there.
It's it because I was asked this question on a radio show, which is why I put it in, because you kind of feel like you have to tell the truth because you're put on the spot so much, and it's always parent murdering. That's what comes up.
Matricide or paternicide.
Yeah, I think so. What's your worst nightmare? Can we even go down that wormhole? Should we just close that wormhole back
No,
up?
I mean, I don't think I don't know.
Okay, good.
I'm pretty positive on the inside. I keep all my negativity on the outside.
In with love, out with hate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Tim Way saying Baby Park on Mario Kart is always the best time. What is
Yes.
Baby Park?
One of the tracks, it's literally just a circle, and you go around in a circle over and over. It's like a speedway circle, and because of all the
We've played
weapons,
that.
it's chaos.
Oh, have we?
Yeah,
Okay, I forgot. Was I drunk? Probably.
probably.
I probably was. Okay, let's go for another 8-ball question and see what it comes up with. If I can even write 8-ball in here. 8-ball.
So was Mario Kart the last game you played, or the last good game you played?
The last game I played that wasn't one of my own is on stream. We were playing Sega Saturn, and we played Dead or Alive, and then we played Parodius. One of the Parodius games we played, which is a wonderful shoot 'em up game where you can either be a penguin or a bunny girl on a bullet or a stick man on a paper plane. And it's just ridiculous. And the
Awesome.
bosses are things like a giant cat who's a pirate ship, or a mermaid, or a giant go-go dancer. And it's just insane. Parodius is great. I love Parodius.
I'm just looking at the cover art for it, and that looks like crazy fun.
It's a portmanteau of the words parody and gradius, which is the type of shoot 'em up. It's
Okay.
parodying.
So it's meant to be silly and outrageous.
Yes, very
Awesome.
much so. It's very Japanese.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That looks cray. That looks quite fun actually.
Super fun.
Question from the 8-ball, which has finally started to work as we should. Would you design your unborn child if you were given the access to the technology? Would you design your unborn child if you were given access to the technology?
Fuck yeah. I'm not planning on having children at any time at all, but if I did have to have a child and I got to choose how the child is, then yeah, fuck it. Yeah, why not?
We do have not the technology to design the child, but we have technology to predict what the outcome of that child will be. You know, there's pre-birth autism tests and stuff like that.
Well, apparently we have the technology to change eye color and hair color and things like that, but people just aren't ready for it, so they don't give access to it.
There's definitely an ethical issue there where you're taking control of someone else's life. But you know what? Aren't they like Tamagotchis? So you get to choose your own Tamagotchi, you get to choose your own child. It's not the same thing.
Well, I mean,
Well, that's adoption, though.
well,
surely.
no, the way you
That's
choose your child is by choosing your partner.
You're fucked then.
I chose poorly.
You chose poorly. Yeah. I mean, how far would you take a designing a child? Like, how far would you take it?
Like one claw hand and like one tentacle arm with like 10 eyes.
Oh, but
Because I mean they dominate like every sport.
You could try and get one that didn't have legs for the purpose of having false blades, and then they'd be able to run faster eventually than everyone else.
Yes.
You could see benefit to that, right?
I mean, I could kind of see benefit in almost anything.
Or an Iron Man handed child.
Well, that's an add-on though. That's not something that they'd be born with.
Or they're born without an arm, so they could get an arm.
Okay, right. So I'm going to purposely choose my child to be born without legs or an
I'm
arm.
just saying it's possible. I mean, how far would you take it? How far would you take it? You know, I don't know.
Probably not that far.
Not that far. Quang, not that far. That's a bit too far.
Well, you know what? Like I said, I'm not planning to have kids, but if I wasn't to have kids, yeah, fuck it, let's go all the way. Let's give them bionic eyes.
Just a brain in a robot. Then I mean, that's basically.
Yep.
We're just ghosting the shelling from.
No,
from
I
birth.
wanted them to be 100% organic, but just like mix in different species and stuff.
Like
Give them some wings, you know. Give them some, you know.
just give them wings. I mean,
Get some gills as well, because I mean, I can see some advantages to breathing underwater.
yeah. This is Abby saying this has gone a bit dark. Yeah. Rachel's saying, but it would be awesome if you could choose your child to be half robot, so you could switch it off.
Like
Yes.
it into charge when they get annoying.
I had a meme that was exactly about this, but I couldn't get my memes to work. My memes didn't work, so I'm just gonna go on. Rick says he likes it, so Abby, you know, we know. I'm sure it doesn't matter. At the Rock House, it's 50-50 on this conversation. Where have we got to on this? I'm gonna do one more question from 8-ball. Magic 8-ball. And then we're going to think about rating someone after the raffle as well. Oh, yes, we are. Probably Bloodstock Festival. If I'm honest and Bloodstock are online, we should definitely rate them because I feel like they need it.
They're playing Call of Duty Warzone at the moment.
Oh, it keeps on saying that. Abby's saying it doesn't matter what Rick thinks because we ain't having kids. Wah wah.
That's why the men will build the technology. We can do what we want then.
You can do what I like. Basically, April keeps on throwing up a random news article, and my computer won't hack that. So, do you want to just grab a random news article on some kind of technology subject? I think the last one we had was heart attacks in space, which was fun. And you've got
here's something kind of topical.
Just 1 second. We've got a minute until the raffle is over. So if you want to buy, no, it's free. If you want to win some music and a comic book, just put in the command raffle, and you've got a minute to enter. At the moment, only one person has entered, so it's literally anybody's game. Go, 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 Power Rangers!
The Twitch streamer, I don't know how to say her name, Amaranth, I know, also known as the hot tub streamer.
Oh yes,
has been demonetized because she's not advertiser friendly. Apparently, I mean, with being the hot tub streamer, I'm not 100% surprised.
Well, what else does she do though? She's a gamer streamer, isn't she? I mean, does she get naked or something? I don't know what she does.
She couldn't get naked on Twitch. I don't know, like
I think it's a bikini in a hot tub.
Yeah, she's an ethot. But I mean, I guess the question is, what is acceptable? And what is not?
What is thought?
Not ready for that.
I feel like people pick on this person because she did something, like they wish they thought of it, and they're angry because she made money out of a thing that was so simple. Isn't that the problem? And she's based in the UK, isn't she? She's UK, British.
I don't know, I'm just reading on it now. So yeah, so she violated the sexually suggestive content clause, but I mean, doesn't every Twitch streamer do that at some point?
I don't. I can guarantee you, I don't. Unless she likes wrists.
Get some of that Victorian erotica.
Yeah, man.
Sexy ankles.
Rachel's saying, could you please come to the school and pick up your child, please? That they're flying around the playground breathing fire at the other children.
That's what I bred them for.
Yeah, that sounds legit. I don't know what the UFO comment's for. I'm not sure what that is. Anyway, the raffle is over, so we're going to go and pick a winner.
Well, there's been loads of formally classified documents from the US intelligence and Navy that have been declassified.
That's true.
Basically admitting, yeah, there's a bunch of UFOs and we can't track them on our equipment and we don't know what they are. Which is kind of cool and kind of scary.
Kind of cool and kind of scary. Tim Way has won the stuff and things. Well done, Tim. You won the raffle. Seeing how it was your subscription that did it, so thank you very much. Yay! Well done, everybody. Whoa! And I have your email address, so I don't need you to send anything to me. I will sort you out after the stream with the music that you have won today. Amazing. Quang, so just as a closing statement, do you want to tell the folks once again about your games, about anything else that you want to publicize at this time?
Sure. Hi. If you want to check out my stuff, Asobi Tech is where you want to go. ASOBITECH. It's the same on the website, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all the things. Asobi Tech. I make video games. I do Twitch streaming sometimes. But yeah, come check us out. It's good stuff.
But you got your film stream tomorrow night, have you?
Tomorrow night is the film stream. Yes, we're watching the movie Three Idiots. It's a Hindi movie from India. Because this month is Majan. We're watching movies from Asia, and it's a comedy. It's going to be a really good one. So come join us for that if you want to watch something a little different.
That's cool. I've actually got a question about that. So you do stuff on Discord. Do you have to have Nitro to do that?
To stream on Discord, no, you do not need to have Nitro to do that.
Cool.
Heavy Nitro will give you better quality, but you don't actually need it to do a basic stream.
Okay, that's cool. I've got a streaming interview with someone on Discord next week, and I'm like, oh, do I need Nitro? Maybe I don't. It's fine. Amazing. So yes, thank you very much, everyone who's joined us. Movie Club is tomorrow night. I just get involved because Hype Bear's rendition of the stories are always fantastic, and it's always good fun. And there's a really nice community, actually, on all of your channels. There's a lovely community that everyone gets involved with. And the Cartoon Club on Saturdays is a firm favorite too.
Not this Saturday. It's next Saturday. It's Cartoon Club from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. We watch cartoons from the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, amazing. All right, folks, we're going to go and sort out a raid. So please stay with us because it helps us promote the show to Bloodstock Festival is the people we're going to raid right now. They're playing Call of Duty Warzone, apparently.
Rating!
Yeah. So we rated these guys the other week, and then someone who reviews unsigned bands and added me unsigned bands for Bloodstock Festival added me on Facebook, and I thought, wow, that's good. Hey, I just made a connection via raid. Hey, amazing. All right, I'm just going to sort out this raid, and we will see you all next week. Hopefully we'll be on Friday with Death by Admin, as well as Saturday morning for Grunge Morning. Oh, yeah. All right, see you all later. Bye-bye.
Imran just got it. Dude, you're so late to the party.
So late, Imran. So late, dude. Right, bye-bye.
Bye.